Hello, fourth and I think fifth graders might be watching this too. So this is an introduction I actually made after I recorded the rest of this video, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview of how to use this video. It is about our governments and our different layers of government. So it's a topic that's really in the news right now and really important and really good to know. The video came out to be quite a bit longer than I was hoping. So I actually split it up into 3 parts. Each part's about 15 minutes or so. You could watch the whole thing through, that's fine. But when you get to parts that say this is the end of a part, there will be a screen that tells you that it's going into the next part. You're welcome to stop it there and just sort of take a break. Also, you'll hear me talking a lot about 4th graders, but if you are a 5th grader, just know that I'm also talking to you too. And coming up, you'll see Andre is helping me out in this video. He's really like my co-teacher in this whole thing. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. And remember, you don't have to watch the whole thing. You can just pause it at the different sections and just watch that part. All right, I hope you enjoy it. Good morning or afternoon or evening or whenever you're watching this video, 4th grade.
Hi.
Andre's saying good morning too, or good afternoon or good evening or whenever you're watching this video. And we are doing a Loom video for our very first trial expedition lesson. Andre is going to help me out, right?
Yep.
Great. He's a 4th grader too, so this is something that he also is interested in learning, and hopefully you like what we have put together here. So first of all, I gotta get our beautiful faces out of the way. Your beautiful face anyway, and my sort of scruffy face out of the way. So I gotta shrink this, move this over here. All right, so this is what our expedition lesson for this week is on. Our governments. What is a government? Well, it is sort of who is in charge of what. And what I've been noticing is that in the news lately, you've been probably hearing about a lot of different leaders of our world. And you've been hearing about like states closing down or cities shutting down their schools or some states seeing like a improvement in the coronavirus situation or the president saying this or the mayor saying that. Well, who are all these people and what are they in charge of? That's what we are going to find out today. You ready?
Yep.
All right.
Ready.
Okay, so first, there we go. Like I said, who are these people and what do they have in common? Move our faces again out of the way. There we go.
There.
Seems good. Okay. Yeah, like who are these people? Andre, I bet you know at least one of the people on this screen.
Donald Trump.
Yep. Which one is he?
The one second left.
Okay, sure. The second one in, right here. That's right. That is President Donald Trump. I think most of you know that. Now, for the rest of you watching, just look at the faces and think to yourself, do you know who these people are? Can you name them? Give me a thumbs up when you got it. Okay? All right, so, Andre, what do these people, we know one of them so far, right?
Mm-hmm.
What might they have in common?
They all can command us to do stuff. They're all political. They're all political and, yeah.
Yeah, they're all like leaders of some sort, right? And like...
They're all leaders of different places.
Yeah, and they can sort of make rules and laws that we have to follow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But who exactly are they and who and what do they have in common? Well, one, directly related to right now, they all have the power to close schools, actually. But it just depends where they have the power to close schools and who can do what. So let's look at some headlines from the news lately and see if we can figure out this mystery of who is the one who is actually telling us that school needs to be closed right now and all of the other things that are happening in the world. Who are these people? So let's go to the next slide. All right, so here's some recent news headlines. Andre, I'm going to let you read these aloud when they pop up, okay?
Oh, look. President Trump has extended the coronavirus guidelines for America through April 30th.
Okay, so his coronavirus guidelines are the things that say you need to stay 6 feet apart, that you can't leave your house if you're sick, you need to stay in quarantine. There's a lot more guidelines than that, but those are the big ones. And notice that he is the president, and he has said that that needs to keep happening through April 30th. Sense?
Yep.
Okay. Let's see this next one. Andre, read it.
New York State on pause extended. All non-essential workers must continue to work from home, and schools will be closed through April 29th.
Okay, so key thing you said is New York State on pause. So let's see who made this rule.
New York State Governor Andrew
Cuomo. Yep. So New York State Governor Andrew Cuomo is the one that says that schools need to be closed in New York State through April 29th. All right, let's see about the other folks. And let's get our faces out the way again.
Monroe County Executive Adam Bello and Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren launched 6 Feet Saves, public health campaign to help slow spread of COVID-19.
Great. So that's 2 more people. Monroe County Executive Adam Bello and Rochester Mayor Lovely Warren. Maybe you recognize them from that first screen. All right, so notice there's 4 key terms here. President, governor, county executive, and mayor. All right, let's figure out who those people are. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, so those 4 key terms that I just talked about, one is president, the next is the governor, the next is the county executive, and the next is the mayor. All right, do you remember who the president was?
Doesn't everyone? It's Donald Trump.
All right, so get ready for his beautiful face. Here we go.
It's not that beautiful.
All right, well, that's, everyone has their own opinion. All right, and let's get ready for the governor's beautiful face. Here we go. It was Governor Andrew Cuomo. Remember, he was the one that said schools are closed.
Thank you.
The county executive. Let's see about this face. His name is Adam Bello. And that means that a lot of you probably knew who Lovely Warren is. And she is the mayor. All right. So we've got Donald Trump, Andrew Cuomo, Adam Bello, and Mayor Lovely Warren. Now let's learn a little bit more about those 4 things and what they are and what they do. All right. So the question is, they're leaders of what exactly, right? We know that they are leaders of something.
Something.
Okay, so Andre, the president, who is currently Donald Trump, he is the leader of what?
The country, right?
And
United States.
Yep, that's right. So the United States, which is a country. Do you know what the governor, Mr. Andrew Cuomo, do you know what he is the leader of?
Wouldn't it be, because one down from country would be a state,
Yeah.
right?
And which state is he the leader of?
New York.
Yeah, and that's the state that we live in. So that's why he's the one that gets to tell us if our schools are closed or not. So he is the governor of New York State. And New York State is a state. That's right. So presidents are leaders of countries. Governors are leaders of states. All right? The county executive is the leader of what?
Pretty obvious because it says it right in the name. It's a county.
He is a leader of a county, but which county? Monroe County.
Oh, yeah.
Sound familiar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't we live there?
We do live there. In fact, we live in the United States. We also live in New York State. We also live in Monroe County.
That's different to think about.
Yeah. And Monroe County, as Andre said, is a county. All right, so now the mayor, Andre, Mayor Lovely Warren, what is she the mayor of?
Rochester?
She is the mayor of Rochester. Here comes Rochester falling in. So Rochester is where our school is. That's where GCCS is, and it's where most of our students at GCCS live. And do we live in Rochester?
Yes.
Ooh, see, it gets complicated. Believe it or not, we do not live in Rochester. We live in Fairport, which is a town right next to Rochester. But we still consider Rochester sort of our hometown because it's the biggest city near us. Oh, I just gave it away. A mayor is the leader of
a city.
A city, that's right. So if I was a GCCS student and I lived in the 19th ward, right? Then I would live in the United States, I would live in New York State, I would live in Monroe County, and I would live in the city of Rochester. Clear as mud, right?
Yeah.
All right. So that's a summary, and we're going to give you some more visuals to help you understand what the difference is between a country, a state, a county, and a city. But that is who those people are and the key terms. What are the 4 key terms that we're trying to remember?
President, governor, county executive, and mayor.
Great. Sounds good. All right, we're going to pause there, and we'll be back with part 2 of the lesson in a minute. All right, 4th grade, we're back for part 2. You notice we changed our wardrobe, right?
Yeah.
And showered in between, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Hopefully you're all still showering. All right, so our big question so far that came up from part 1. Andre, do you want to read them?
Sure.
All right.
What is a country, a state, a county, a city?
All right, we'll answer that next.
How are they different from each other? What are some examples of countries, states, counties, and cities? What do they do? What powers do they have?
All right, so stay tuned to answer these questions in our part coming up. So first, let's map it. Maps are super helpful. We started working on maps this year, and it will help us answer these questions. All right, so this should look familiar. We have North America. North America is a continent, right? There's the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean. We learned this earlier this year. And a continent is a huge mass of land. So I'm not showing the whole globe, but I'm showing one of the 7 continents. On that continent, there are countries on this map. Andre, do you see any countries?
Yes.
Okay. Name one of them that you see on the map.
Mexico.
Great. All right. So other examples of countries, Andre knew that because he saw it right here. It's this green piece of land right here. That's Mexico. It's its own country. Well, our country, right? The United States is here. And actually, it also includes here. There's Alaska, which is actually disconnected from the most of the United States.
And somewhere out there, there's Hawaii.
Yep. Somewhere way off the map is the little Hawaiian Islands are over there. So that's another country on there. Canada, right there. Mexico, we talked about. Bermuda, a tiny little island country, right? All right. So we live in the United States. Remember, this is a country. So President Trump is the president of this whole country, the United States. Let's zoom in on just this part. So on the next map, it's going to be everything that's inside of this box. Let's zoom in. And here is a United States map. And let's see what we notice on there. Andre, what do you notice on this new United States map?
That there's a lot of states.
That's right. Each one of these things are states. So just like continents are divided up into countries, our country is divided up into states. So here are some examples of states on this map. Well, first of all, there are 50 total states in the United States. Florida, some of you have probably been there. It's right here.
I've been there.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Virginia. You've been there too. No, you haven't. We went to Maryland, not Virginia. California, over here. Texas, big one down here. Wyoming, kind of in the Rocky Mountains. Not a lot of people there, but still a big state. And New York, look at that.
Us.
Sound familiar? Yeah, remember? We talked about Governor Cuomo being the governor of New York. So he's the governor of, where'd my mouse go? Of just this area right here. All right, so we live in New York. Now let's take a zoom in on just that state. Here is New York State. Andre, what do you notice?
Those are counties now.
They are counties.
It's getting smaller.
That's right. So just like a continent is broken up into countries and our country is broken up into states, our state is broken up into counties. For example, There are 62 total counties. I Googled it. I didn't count. Hopefully Google was right. And Erie County, right here. Livingston County, right here. These are counties you may have heard of. Maybe not. Wayne County, right here. Ontario County, right here. Orange County, that one's way down here. And Monroe County. Why has that one got an exclamation point, Andre?
Because it's where we live.
That's right. We live in Monroe. So, make a prediction. What's coming next, fourth grade? Boom. Monroe County. We are going to zoom in. Sort of. We're actually not going to zoom into Monroe County, but we're going to take a different look at the whole state. Because now, what do you notice about the state?
There's cities now.
That's right. So notice that you have all of New York State. It is broken up into its counties. And then within the counties are different cities. So cities on this map include, well, there's actually tons of them. There's probably countless numbers of cities. And also when you're thinking about this, each county not only has cities in it, it also has towns in it. And we're not going to cover what the difference between a city and a town is, but they're sort of similar. And like a city or a town would be within a county. All right, so you'll see Buffalo, which is in Erie County. You'll see Syracuse, which is in Onondaga County right here. You'll see New York City, which is way down here. So New York is actually the name of a state and a city. Did you know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why some people say, when they're being very specific, they'll say New York State or New York City. And actually, New York City is so big that it actually is made up of several counties because it's the biggest city in our country. So it kind of breaks some of the rules because it's so huge. Did you know that New York City is broken up into many counties?
No.
Yes, you learned something. That's awesome. All right. So Albany is over here, and it is in Albany County, I think. No, it is in Schenectady County? Yeah, anyway, I didn't even know that. And of course, guess what we're going to do next? Our school, and most of you live in Rochester, so we are going to highlight it right there. We found it on our map. Now, I live in Fairport, which is also Monroe County, and it's about right where my mouse is right here. I know Mrs. Hillman lives in Chili. I'm going to bring my mouse back, which is like over here. If some of our students live in Greece, that's like up here. Someone lives in Henrietta, that's like here. Mrs. Mason lives in Webster, that's here. Those are towns that are around Rochester. But pretty much most things that a city does, a town also does. All right. Could you repeat all of that back right now and get 100% on a test?
No.
No, that's okay. You don't have to. Just hopefully it's starting to make a little bit of sense. I'm just kind of just messing around with you. I wanted to point out one more thing on this big map. Notice up here, look at this. It's our whole country. All the states are outlined in these dotted lines. New York is highlighted in red. Then New York has all the counties and cities. Pennsylvania is a state that's next to us. New Jersey is a state that's next to us. Connecticut, Massachusetts, etc. These are the names of states that surround New York. Canada, is Canada a state?
Oh, no.
What is it?
It's a country.
That's right. So New York actually touches another country and a whole bunch of other states. And an ocean. And an Erie Canal. And a Genesee River.
And a lake.
And a lake.
2 lakes.
And 2 lakes. 3 lakes. Lake Champlain's up here. And a river.
Oh, right.
St. Lawrence River. Yeah, we're surrounded. All right. So if we were to try to understand this even a little bit better, there is an analogy that we can make. So that's a comparison between our school and our government. This is a way to think about it. So you're going to see a big table pop up, and you don't have to follow every word on the table. Just follow along as I sort of explain what the table is doing. You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay. I know you've been looking forward to this table. Yeah, well, all right. Not as much as me, apparently. All right. So, if we think of this as being the government, which branch of government? Countries, states, counties, or cities? And then these are their leaders. We can compare them to our school and the leaders of those things in our school. So, if we look at this row across, the United States is a country. Its leader is President Trump. If we compare that to our school, that would be like our whole school is kind of like the country. So GCCS is like a country. And Mrs. Hillman is kind of like the president. She leads the whole school, just like Trump leads the whole country. I don't know if Mrs. Hillman would be happy or not that I'm comparing her to President Trump, but they kind of are similar in that they are in charge of the whole thing. If we think about a state, it's like a chunk of a country. So New York State has Governor Cuomo. Well, kind of like in our school, we have a 4th grade classroom or a 5th grade classroom. It's like each classroom is its own state. So the teachers, so in 4th grade, it'd be Mr. Ditch, Mrs. Mason, Mr. Roma. We're kind of like the governor because we're all co-teachers. Or in 5th grade, it would be like Mr. Walpole, Miss Kravchik, Miss Torres. So if you think about our school, each classroom is sort of like a state. Within each classroom, there are crews, right? So we had a crew named Lamont, and a crew is kind of like a county. Like you take the 4th grade and you split it up into smaller parts, and now you're splitting it into crews. Or you can take 5th grade, split it into smaller parts, and they're in their crews. It's kind of like the county. So if there was, say, a project going on and you were the crew leader, you would be kind of like the county executive, Adam Bell. The city is even smaller than the county. So it's now like you're in your crew, but you've broken up into even smaller groups. So say you have a crew of 6 and you split into 3 groups of 2. I know now we're getting mathy all of a sudden. You're like, if you had a reading buddy, that would be like a city. So if you were like the leader of that reading buddy crew, you would be kind of like the mayor. So the whole country is like the whole school. So Mrs. Hillman's kind of like President Trump. Each classroom is like a state. Each crew is like a county. And then each small group within a crew is like a city. Make sense? Mm-hmm. All right, good. All right, you can pause here if you want to kind of check this table out and keep like thinking about how it makes or how it works. So let's check in. You ready for the big check in? Mm-hmm. I know this is the part you've been looking forward to the most. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Andre did his own schoolwork today, so he's a little tired, and he's like, Dad, really? I gotta do more 4th grade? He doesn't sound like...
Really.
No, he's not a whiner. All right, so let's check in back at our big questions. You want to read them?
Sure. What is a country, a state, a county, a city? How are they different from each other?
All right, so we've already started to answer some of those questions, right? Mm-hmm.
What are some examples of countries, states, counties, and cities?
We gave tons of examples in the last few slides.
What do they do? What powers do they have?
Have we answered that question yet?
No, I don't think.
We haven't, so that's why I gave a drum roll. Yeah, so the next part of this video will be what exactly do each of these different branches of government, what do they do, and what powers do they have? Where do you think we should start?
I think we should start at countries.
Why country?
Because it's the biggest out of cities or counties.
Perfect. That's great. Guess what? Let's look at the things that make a country a country. All right, first, and there's a lot of examples. I just picked a few. First is that flag. Do you know what that flag's called? The American flag.
Oh, I was trying to think of like Old Glory.
Yeah, Old Glory. Nice. Good. That's a nickname for it.
Star-Spangled Banner.
Yes. Nice job, Andre.
Thanks.
So, yeah, our country, this flag that you see everywhere, represents the whole country. So whether you're in New York or California, or you're in a city like Chicago, or a city like Seattle, or a city like Rochester, this flag represents all of those people that live in that country. Do you know how many stars there are?
50, one for each state.
That's right. There is a reason behind how many stars we have in our flag. It's because we have 50 states, like I told you before, and there's 50 stars. All right, so that's one thing that makes a country is that it has that common flag. Ooh, money, 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 money. Get our face out of the way here. All right, what do you notice right here that I'm sort of circling?
It says the United States of America.
That's right. So a country can make money, and everyone within a country uses that same money. States, cities, and counties cannot make their own money. That's why this says the United States of America. So again, if I go to Seattle or Chicago or a state like Minnesota or Missouri, this money is the same money that we use here because we're all live in the same country. Make sense?
Yeah.
Great. Easy to tell because it says right on it, United States of America. All right. What is next? Uh-oh, PowerPoint's frozen. Hey, there we go. You want to read that?
U.S. Army.
What does U.S. stand for?
United States.
That's right. So our Army, our military, could be the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force, right?
Yep.
That is a country thing. So does Rochester have an army?
No.
No. Does Monroe County have an army?
Definitely not.
No, but our whole country has an army. So if you were a soldier in the army, then you are for the whole country. All right, next. Oh, yeah. A lot of people probably watch the Olympics. And when you're watching the Olympics, people are competing. Each team is the team for that country. What do you notice on the back of this guy's jacket?
United States of America, USA.
Exactly. And what do you notice in the background?
The United States flag.
That's right. So this was the 1980 Olympic hockey team, and they beat Russia. That's their flag. And then I think that's Finland's flag came in third place that year.
Isn't that Sweden?
Or no, maybe Russia came in third place. But anyway, that's details of history. It might be Sweden. You're right. And yeah, so when you watch the Olympics, you're watching countries compete against other countries. Like you could be from Rochester, but you can't be on the Rochester Olympic team. You have to be on the United States Olympic team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great. And one more thing that makes a country is that PowerPoint's not working. Nope. There we go. What's the name of that place?
The White House?
Yes, that is the White House, which is where the president lives. So in Washington, D.C., which is where the head of all the U.S. government is, he is the president. And so Donald Trump or whoever is president at the time gets to live in the White House. That is, again, represents the whole country. So I think Mrs. Hillman's house looks something like this, don't you think?
Not really.
Oh, all right. Well, we said that she's like the president of our school, so she's kind of maybe has a house that big.
Probably not.
Probably not. All right. So that's what makes a country a country. Let's go to the next slide, which is going to be what?
State.
Yep. Things that make a state a state. Well, states actually have their own flags. All 50 states have their own flags. This is New York's flag. It is a Latin word that says excelsior. I think it means higher and higher, or onward, or excellence, or I don't remember what it means, but states do have their own flag. And what, does that look familiar?
Yeah, I've been there.
What is it?
It's the Thruway.
Yes. So I'm guessing that most students have been on the New York State Thruway. Wait, the what Thruway?
New York State.
The New York State Thruway. That's right. So our state, if you've been on the Thruway, our state actually is the one that controls that big highway that cuts right through the middle of our state. It has all these on-ramps and off-ramps. And Andre, what do you have to do when you go through this booth?
Pay.
You have to pay. That's right. So states have the ability to charge taxes and fees for things. Actually, so does the federal government too. So does the United States government. They can also charge taxes. So they maintain some of our most major roads and such, and can collect money for them. Another thing that makes a state, or sort of like what do they do? You might not know what this is.
No, it's a bridge.
It's a bridge. It is a giant bridge, and it was built recently, and it crosses the Hudson River down near New York City, and The state actually, I think it cost over $1 billion to build this bridge.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah. And it's actually part of the thruway system, but just building that bridge and maintaining that bridge is part of the state's job. So part of their job is to make sure that people have things like roads so that we can get around.
Yeah.
And travel from place to place.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yep.
Great. And they have to collect taxes and money to pay for those things. All right. What's going to come after state?
County.
That's right. So things that make a county a county. So counties don't have flags. Maybe some do, but I don't think they officially have flags. They do have logos. So this is Monroe County's logo. And this is a place that should be familiar to GCCS students.
I've never seen that.
Can you read it?
County of Monroe Webster Park Campground.
That's right. Notice it says County of Monroe. So Webster Park is the park where you had your settler simulation, whether you did it in 3rd grade or in 2nd grade. You had GCCS students had their settler simulation at at Webster Park. So the county actually owns that land, maintains that land, keeps the trails nice, changes out the toilets, all that stuff that is required for maintaining a park. All right, so this is a courtroom. So if you ever get sued or you ever have to go to court and meet a judge, you might go to a county court. And so this is a judge right here. And it looks like he was actually explaining to students how a how a courtroom works. That's where I got this video from, or this picture from. So courts are sometimes done at the county level. Although actually, to be truthful, there are city courts, there are state courts, there are county courts, there are federal court or national, federal, countrywide courts. So every layer of government has courts, but that is one thing that a county does. And last, this is one that's important that you might not think of every day. Want to read it?
Monroe County Water Authority, bringing you our most precious resource.
What do you think that most precious resource they're talking about is?
Water.
Yeah. So when you go to your faucet and you flip your water on, that is actually Monroe County that is in charge of all the water for all of Monroe County. Did you know that?
No.
No. So they provide services like that. Parks and courts and water. There's more things that they do. I'm just giving you the examples. And let's see. What do you think is last?
City.
All right. Things that make a city a city. Well, you've all, I think, seen this before, that Rochester has its own logo. Again, I don't think we have a flag, but we have a logo. All right. Can you tell what's right in between the R and the C there?
The logo?
Yeah, that's the Rochester City logo. It's the rock centers. So any of the community centers or R centers around town, those are actually run by the city. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. All right. Another very important function that cities serve is they are in charge of the police department. So when you see a police car, it says City of Rochester. This is our police chief. Notice the logo is there again. Do you recognize the lady in the background?
That's the mayor.
That is. You remember her name?
Lovely Warren.
Yep. So she is the mayor of the city, but also actually sort of in charge of the police department. And then she actually hires this guy, and he's in charge of the whole police department. So the police that you see are something that the city provides. And there are county sheriffs too. So the county also has a police force too. And so does New York State. And so does the national government. But the ones you see the most often are probably the Rochester City Police.
Because that's where we live.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And notice this background photo is just perfect because they have a flag of the United States, a flag of New York State, a flag of the city, right? And sort of all the things that we're talking about. They did not have the county logo there. All right, so one last thing that makes a city, something you all take for granted. It's important, but you probably didn't realize how important it was or who even did this. You ready for it?
Yep.
What do you got?
Trash.
That's right. Notice the logo again.
More logos.
They're everywhere. So cities, Rochester City, actually, they run the police department. They run community centers. They also run garbage collection. So they make sure, think about it, if a city didn't have garbage men, there would be a mess, right? Our city would be a mess.
There would be garbage everywhere.
Yeah. All right. So again, they are in charge of a lot of important things. Now you might be wondering, let me click to the next thing. Okay. Yeah, let's go to this. Our big questions. Let's check in again. All right. Go ahead and read them again. One last time.
What is a country, a state, a county, a city? How are they different from each other? What are some examples of countries, states, counties, and cities? What do they do? What powers do they have?
That's right. So hopefully now we've answered this question, right? What do they do? What powers do they have? If you kind of forgot already, go back to the last few slides, or rewind the video and watch the last few slides. One of the questions we asked early on was, who has the power to close schools? Who do you think of these 4 places have the power to close schools?
The governor?
Could he close schools for Florida?
No.
Why not?
Because he's the governor of New York, not Florida.
That's right.
Florida's a different state.
That's right. Could Mayor Warren close the schools for New York City?
No.
No.
Because she's for Rochester.
Could she close the schools for the city of Rochester?
Yes.
I think she could. That's right. Same with the county. So actually all of these people have the power to close the schools. It's just depending on which schools they could close. So President Trump actually probably has the power to close all the schools in the country if he needed to.
Yeah.
Yep. And then Governor Cuomo not only does have the power, but used his power to close all of the schools in New York State. So it's not just GCCS and Fairport that are closed right now. It's every school in New York State because the governor gave it.
Wow, it's a lot of schools.
It's a lot of schools. Yep, that's right. Okay, so hopefully that helps explain that. All right, last thing. That ever so helpful map. Just tying it all back together. Remembering that we live in a big country. That country is split into smaller pieces called states. That state is split into smaller pieces called counties. And then within those counties are cities and towns. Pretty good?
Yeah.
Great. All right. We're almost done. Thanks for hanging in there.
You're welcome.
More questions. Because that's cool information, but if I know 4th graders, and I think 5th graders might be watching this too, if I know these 2 classes, which I do know them pretty well, they're like you, where not only do they go, oh, cool, that was new information and it was neat, but I also have many wonders, right?
Yeah.
So here were some wonders that Andre and I had, and hopefully you can all think of your own wonders. So we were wondering, has our government always been like this?
I don't know. Probably. No.
Right. Has there always been a federal government? That's the country's government. It's called the federal government. Has there always been that in states and counties and cities?
Maybe, but things change quickly, like we have experienced.
That's right. I'm going to move this because it's going to be in the way. And you read the next question.
How and when did all this start?
So if it hasn't always been like this, then how and when and why did it start?
Why do we have presidents and not queens or kings?
Interesting. Have you ever heard of a king of New York State?
No.
How about the queen of the United States?
Isn't that Queen Elizabeth?
There is a queen, but she is not the queen of the United States. Yeah, we don't have queens or kings. There's no Prince of Florida or Princess of Chicago, right? Yep. So why do we have presidents and not kings or queens? Other countries have kings or queens. You want to read it?
What happens when these leaders disagree?
Interesting.
How do these leaders become leaders?
Another interesting question, right? All right, so 4th and 5th graders, there will be an exit ticket relating to this, and there will be a spot in there to type in your wonders. And hopefully in the next few weeks, we can answer some of your wonders and some of the wonders that are here, because there are answers to these questions, and we just don't have enough time in this video to answer all of them.
For what happens when these leaders disagree, I would think the one with the most power can just overwrite the ones that are disagreeing.
It's a good thought.
If Bello and Cuomo are disagreeing, Trump could just say that this is happening. You guys don't have a say.
I wonder.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder. It's a good question and a good thought. All right.
Thanks.
So I think that is it. Be on the lookout for the exit ticket that goes with this. Make sure to share your wonders. And anything else?
No.
All right. Thank you, 4th and 5th grade, for watching. I hope you learned something about how your world works and who has the power to close your school and how big Mrs. Hillman's house is. All right. Signing off. Goodbye.
Bye.